So here we are at the Goodall Fire Tower site here near Ansonia, PA, up here by the Grand Canyon in Tioga County. Now this site was erected in 1910, 1911. They had a tree observation post 50 foot high with a ladder. The cabin itself, though, was built of natural stone from this area in 1940. So that's how old this particular cottage is. And I love this construction. I'd love to be able to get inside sometime and see inside one of these. Today, the Boy Scouts use a lot of these old stone cottages and fire tower areas. So if you see firewood and campsites and that set up here, that's what it is. I don't believe anybody else is allowed to camp here. I think it's just for the Boy Scouts. But this is a really neat building. Looks like it has a little basement, a little attic way. I said I'd love to be able to get inside sometime and see one of these. If you try and peek through the windows, you still can't see anything because you'll just get a reflection, a glare off of the glass. Which is really, really neat. So the tower here that was built in 1910 was replaced by a 60-foot tower, steel tower, with a staircase in 1919. And they did that so that even visitors could get up in there. Visitors were welcome to climb these towers as well back then. Now, in 1937, they actually had a production company use the fire tower to get some pictures of the local area. They were doing a tour across PA from Harrisburg across the state, and this was one of the sites they used to get pictures of the area of this part of PA. Like I say, neat little history with this particular site. And it was August 21st, 1940 that this building was built, so towards the end of 1940. There's some other interesting stories from here. I believe it was 1949, it was in the late 40s, I believe, when a hunter had gotten lost. A search party couldn't find them, so they had used the fire tower to help bring him in. They took a spotlight up to the top of the tower and shone it out across the way to see if he'd find it, and it worked, and he came in about 2 a.m., I guess. But I think the tower to this would have been over here in this clearing. This tower has been taken down, but we're going to head over to Cherry Springs where they still have their steel tower. And so I'm going to take the drone up and see if we can get a view inside of that tower. The cottage looks pretty much identical to this one. But yeah, I believe this clearing over here is where the tower would have been. There's also some neat trails up here to hike. It's a nice little picnic spot. But we actually just hiked up Dry Hollow there and then down Harrington Hollow. So the trailhead to that is the Pine Creek Outfitters down on Route 6. And that's about a 5-mile loop. And if you come up Dry Hollow and go down Kinney Hollow, that is, I think, a 7-mile loop if I remember correctly. I've hiked that before too. So there's the Goodall Fire Tower. And now we'll head over to Cherry Springs. So here we're at the Cherry Springs Fire Tower. In 1917, they replaced the 40-foot tower that was here with a 70-foot tower. And this was built on the highest point in the Black Forest. From the top of this tower, you could see, depending on conditions, 15 to 25 miles. and you were observing 200,000 acres. You can see the construction here is a lot like the Goodall fire tower. I imagine they're all pretty well just about the same. But again, love the stonework with the timbers. (1918) is when they got some phone service out here. And that was important, especially for these remote locations, to be able to quickly spread word about any potential fires. And that was around the same time that the Goodall Fire Tower got their phone service also, 1919, when they put up that new steel tower. Yeah, just beautiful construction. And this only cost, what was it, $200 and some back then to build this and erect it. And keep in mind, as far as getting phone service in the mid 1917, 1919 area, we're not talking cell service. They had to run lines to the nearest towns, which was quite a ways away from these towers, especially in this part, PA. So I kind of laugh at some of these reality shows where they're like, wish me luck so I don't die. And you're like, well, if I'm watching this, obviously you lived. And then I do the same thing. By the time you watch this, obviously the drone made it. But just to show you what we were dealing with, I had a little tiny narrow window to get through here with the branches. So it was a success. And I got to be honest with you, I'm really glad I was able to get the drone up there because it was not worth risking my life for. That really wasn't all that impressive. There's not really anything up there. You can see where they took out the bottom sections of the ladder so people wouldn't climb up there, probably because the towers are getting rickety and things like that. But some brave souls do still climb up into these things. I mean, they throw a rope up in there and climb up in, and I would not advise it. And that's kind of why I'm also a fan of these YouTube videos of abandoned places and things that different people go into. Just like my paper mill one, that isn't, if it's not posted yet, it will be posted soon. Now that you've seen inside these things, you don't need to risk your life going inside or going into dangerous areas. So again, I hope you enjoyed this, and please subscribe if you haven't done that yet.